Welcome back to the Boxed In Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Cam F. Awesome. How you doing today?
It was good until I realized the coffee mug said "Don't mess with Texas."
My brother, so there's a story there. My brother went to Texas, so he went to college in Texas, so we have all the poser gear from the bookstore. It's not a real Texas connection.
Did you just use poser?
Yeah.
How many cutoff flannels do you own? Because you do have a mullet.
Yeah, you were asking me earlier about the mullet, and it's been one whole year.
I appreciate
and
it.
You know about commitment. You know what I mean? When it comes to a hairstyle. How long has it been since the last haircut?
Cut my hair in Colorado with some really old dude. He screwed it up. 2008.
Wow. So you've been growing locks since
Over
2008.
March of 2008 was the last time I cut my hair. I had to grow it out. So me and my buddy, we had a few unsuccessful semesters in community college together. So we had a great time.
Right.
But that's when Guitar Hero came out. And he's Polish, and his grandma came to America, and she left us with Polish coffee. We don't drink coffee. What we were doing was we just make hot coffee, put it in the freezer, get it cold enough. We're just taking shots, and we're playing Guitar Hero. And the only way we can get to the next level if we all got a 99. There's three of us. I was Donovan, I had a Jamaican accent, and that was my character. We had
You just went into the Jamaican accent.
yeah.
It's like a flashback.
Yeah. We had Brett, and then his girlfriend. I can't remember her name, whatever, in the band. And all we did was play Guitar Hero and drink Polish coffee. We didn't have money for food. We both worked at Waffle House. It was like
You worked at the Waffle House?
It's a struggle, man. It was a struggle.
You gotta get shout out to the Waffle House. Though.
But we ended
What
up.
state was this?
This was in Florida.
In Florida.
It was like,
Really?
I worked at the Waffle House. It was like where I-95 crosses with Florida Turnpike.
Right.
I was across the street from two Waffle Houses across the street from each other. One was for the 95 and one was for the Turnpike.
How often did the Waffle House see violence? Because I feel like
you know that sign?
it goes down. First of all, it goes down in Florida, right? Because Florida man.
Florida man's active.
It's a terrible place.
What is up with people in Florida? Like it seems like they have a natural proclivity towards crazy shit.
You just got a lot of them.
There's nothing to do. And
Nothing
here's
to do.
the Florida's
It's
where
humid, right?
Florida's where people and dreams go to die. It's a terrible place. But what about Miami? That's called Cuba.
Yeah.
What about Orlando? Also a terrible place.
Okay.
They have Disney. If you were just to take Disney World and Universal Studios out, it's just swampland.
So you basically don't go to Florida unless you're going to Miami.
Also, don't go to Miami.
Don't go to
Don't go if you don't speak Spanish, because I went to check into a hotel for the fights. It was like a casino, and of course I let them know that I'm diabetic and I need to leave my insulin in the back of the desk with them because I don't have a fridge in the room, and because a fridge is $15, and they're like, "Oh no, sir, when it's a medical issue, you get a fridge for free." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Not even diabetic. Now, what I also need is a microwave. Yeah, I also need a microwave. I'm trying to tell this. I'm like, box caliente, beep, 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 beep. They're just looking at me like they don't speak English. And just, we don't know.
They didn't know. I think box caliente with the beep, 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 that you should be able to figure that out.
Oh, exactly. Because when I showed up 2 days later,
they're
having full conversations in English with customers.
Right.
They just acted like they didn't speak English when I showed up.
Interesting.
So, you know what? We don't like.
So, is any of that formed by your experiences when you fought in other countries? I know you.
Yeah, what are some of the other countries?
One of the famous moments was it was a Cuban. I think it was a Cuban fight against Corner Rojo.
Yeah, that was the Pan Am Games, 2015. That didn't work. Well, I guess it did work out in my favor because, for people who don't know, I was fighting in the Pan Am Games in 2015. It was in Toronto, and I made it to the semifinals. I was fighting the Cuban dude. I believe he was the number one dude in the world at the time, and I was like, well, I knew I could beat him, and I was excited because after I did, people would know who I am, and I'd be like a big deal. I'd be famous, and like Nike, Nike would be like, Cam, we want to do a contract with you. And I'm like, no, guys, not right now. I got a lot.
They don't
of
make vegan sneakers, or do they?
Someone told me something about Adidas vegan sneakers. Okay. I wear size 15. I can't be picky with shoes. I just go to Marshalls. I go down clearance aisle. Whatever.
Marshalls.
Yeah. My sneakers are bright red today.
They have size 15 there too. I feel like
rarely.
I feel like when you go to Marshalls and you see the size 15 shoe, that's the shoe that you would buy if you had a size 10.5 or 11.
Yeah.
But you can't because it's a 15. So you're in a win-win situation.
Oh yeah, and it's always cheap.
Right.
Yeah. But when I fought him and I thought I won, I didn't. But before this, like before I changed my name, when I would lose my mind. Like I used to go by Kanye West. I would break trash cans. I would break the trophy. I would yell at officials. I didn't like losing. You can't expect someone to be the number one person in the world. That's like the goal if they're not maniacally passionate. But also I was just really childish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided I was gonna like play it cool. After I lost, I was like, I didn't want to act out because like there's a lot of people in the crowd. It was like on TV. So I was like, beeline to the locker room because I was gonna cry in the locker room. And like when you leave the ring, you go through the fan tunnel and like high five everybody. Then you go to the media center. Then you go to the locker room, which I was gonna damage. And like I left the ring, I was going through the fan tunnel. It's awkward because no one high fives the dude who lost.
Right.
And there were Cuban people there. You're like, Kim, how do you know the Cuban? Because they had Cuban flags and they're like, Cuba, America sucks. Because there's a rivalry between America and Cuba.
Right.
And I remember thinking, we're in Toronto. How'd they make it this far north? Then this dude, like,
By way of Florida.
probably.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be there either. Like, dude made eye contact with me, flapped the flag, and slapped me in the face with it.
The Cuban flag.
The Cuban flag. Like,
Which is like, why would you do that with a fighter? Like that's like getting it. That's like with people running with the bulls in Spain.
yeah.
And the
Also-
one guy
also,
that
why would
decides
people
that
do
he
that?
wants to get too close to the bull. Like you do realize the bull has horns, and the bull can
I
take
watch
you
those
out.
videos and I hope, like, part of me is just like, oh, I like all the like the dudes
Right.
who I'm hoping the bull wins.
Of course.
I'm hoping
Oh, you're
the-
talking about the matador.
The matador.
They're-
Also,
right.
the people running around with the bulls,
Yeah.
always rooting for the bulls.
Yeah.
Because you know what? We have a population problem in this world. And that's how we should get rid of these
Is
people.
it? We should.
Yeah.
So
One
you're-
at a time is not fast enough, dude.
Well, no,
that's
I
why
mean, it could be efficiently if we have maybe one a weekend in every city throughout the world. No,
We just need to make them
Yeah.
running with the bulls.
We
more
just need to
vibrant.
just keep adding more fluoride into the toothpaste.
it's also that humans are silly enough to do stupid shit like go run with the bulls.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, if you like
But-
if a bull gets loose, kills you, I feel bad. But
But-
if you signed up and you like bought a plane ticket and took off work 6
Yeah,
months in
yeah,
advance,
yeah.
I'm hoping you die.
Your
on
whole,
that
your
one.
whole trip to Spain was centered around this event.
Around abusing an animal. Yeah.
What happened when the guy hit you the flag?
Oh, I was like, looks like if another flag hits me, I'm gonna fight my second Cuban person today.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine because everybody has. I say this as a I'm obviously a boxing trainer, but you got that motherfucker in you. So like at the moment when somebody does something, and you say motherfucker, like
A second flag hit me.
yeah,
And
you
then
know that you're gonna.
I went to turn, and
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of
It's
the coach,
good that
but
you
he had a
didn't take
big
off.
belly. The
Right.
coach had a big belly, and I like the flag hit me. I went to take a turn back. I didn't know if I was going to do anything at that point.
Right.
Could have, but as soon as I went to turn, the coach with his stomach was like, "Hey, don't think about it," and he just kind of like bounced me
Just
forward.
bounced you.
And like I turned around, I was
Nothing like
so
nothing like that
frustrated.
gut bounce.
Bro, sumo bounce. But
Yeah.
as soon as I turned around, like Tony Collins from ESPN put the microphone in my face, and it was like 3 options.
Right.
One, I always reserve the right to decline an interview. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
not decline an interview from ESPN Famous. I really want to be on TV.
Right, of course.
So I could take the mic and be like, Cuba's a piece of shit. The judges are paid off. The whole system's corrupt. Fuck this. I'm out. Or I could just be the best version of myself.
Right.
So it's just like, let's just have a really dry sense of humor, be very sarcastic, and whatever question they ask, you answer whatever question you want. And that's what I've just been, every interview, I either lie, sometimes I have family, sometimes I have pets, sometimes I was born in different countries, because a lot of people ask you the same questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
the same
for-
bullshit.
It's so
right?
scripted. It's so generic. It's
So for me to have a good
and the
time,
responses are always the fighter talking in the royal we. Oh, we went out there with the plan.
Oh,
we got the victory.
So we showed up today. We
Yeah.
came to play, and they came to play, and then God. So thank him and my mom, and they came, and we came, and and I'm glad everyone said-
Boxing journalism is you would assume that boxing journalism would be better than other sports.
No, you
but
know
it's
why?
actually just as cliche, just as many tropes. Like
Why are we? First of all, we get that it's a sport.
right,
If your idol is an athlete, and you're, let's say, over 13, you should know that you're not that athlete. And the athlete had to work super hard to get to that point.
Yeah.
So when they get to do the stuff they want to do,
Right.
at 13, you don't deserve to do that yet because you haven't put the work in.
Right.
Also, it's a sport. It is not serious. You throw a ball, you catch a ball, you punch people, you get punched. Sports are not serious. We need to
I know
stop
what you're saying.
taking it seriously.
Yeah.
So when you're having these goddamn serious interviews after, so what was going on in your head? No. Why don't I want someone to be a real commentator and ask real quick, yo, you almost got knocked the fuck out. What were you thinking? Like, I want someone to be real and authentic when they're interviewing people.
That'd be refreshing for sure.
What was going on in your head during the second round? Let's take a look at the video. Like, stop being so professional. Just be relaxed. And our commentators, there's few good commentators. Paulie Malignaggi, he's great.
Of course. But
Andre Ward's great.
Yeah,
there's
boxing, but there's
Reminds me of-
few and far between.
Ooh, there's
Reminds
a
me
few
of Chris Ariola giving his
Larry-
his
Larry-
response. He had fun with it. You know?
Yeah,
He straight up said like stuff like, "Oh, at that point, that shot hurt. I knew I had to come back."
Brandon
and knock that
Rios
fool
was
out."
like that.
Yeah,
he had to be like that. He was
While
honest.
scripting sports, it is entertainment. We watch sports, we do sports to get away from
Adrian
real
Broner's
life.
like that too, though. Adrian keeps it real to what Adrian has to say. So
To a point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and he's good, because Mayweather's the best at it.
Right.
It's just kind of the shit talking to get you.
But I feel like Floyd's still calculating. Like I feel like he's still.
Floyd is just a more mature version of AB. But AB is great at it, though.
Yeah.
He's dancing.
He keeps
he's
himself
like
relevant
one of
because of
flaws.
it. I mean,
Yeah, he's always been relevant because
he,
of it.
He gets paid because he knows what people don't want to hear. He'll
And he
tell
kno-
you
and
what
he
they
knows
don't
how
want
to say it.
and he knows exactly how to say
And
it.
he can fight.
And he can fight. No,
Maybe he's getting a little distracted towards the end.
At the end of the day, you can look at AB's career and you can say, well, he didn't win the biggest fights that he should have. But listen, he
But he
went in
did.
there and fought his ass off.
He was everything he is by like 22 years old.
Yeah,
That's like 4 years in the pros. He's like moving
got
up
after
the
it
weight
early,
classes.
for sure.
Not to mention too, like when AB's
titles at 23.
when it's all said and done, like you're talking about an entertaining career. Like this is a guy that
I'd much rather have an entertaining career than a long career
of just
mediocreness.
complacency. No, I get that.
The only person who's like that, I would say, would be like Andre Ward, who, if the average person who's not a boxer, like the casual boxing fan, if you walk by Andre Ward in Walmart, you would never know
You don't know who he is. People don't appreciate Andre Ward though.
And he's so good.
Yeah.
Because you know why?
Even on an intellectual side, the guy's been gifted in so many different facets of his life. He's just
I was like, he can't be a real person because there's no one who like goes that long with winning. There's no like gun charges, no domestic abuse.
I mean,
he's always nice when you see him. He comes to. There's only probably three like big boxers that go to boxing tournaments.
Yeah.
Andre Ward's there. Terrence Crawford shows up, and probably someone else I'm forgetting. But those are the two big names.
they show up to the nationals. And so forth,
they show up to the nationals, and they don't show up like sit in the VIP
Nah,
booth.
they're walking around with the people.
They're walking around with the people.
Yeah. I've seen Gary Russell at the Nationals before, but because that's when his little brother was fighting.
But also, he's another one. Like,
Yeah.
there's a few people come back. Andre Ward comes back. I remember being there at the tournament with him.
Yeah.
He remembered my name, like, after I fought, and I was just like, that's pretty cool. He remembers everyone's name. He's not just on airplane mode. He's actually there talking to people.
Yeah.
So when I see all the boxers, because to make it to that level, you have to go through USA Boxing. All those boxers who go through USA Boxing, rarely do they ever come back and get back to the sport.
He's our last gold medalist
It's
too.
individual.
Yeah,
There's,
Clarissa
there's a lot
Shields
of,
too, but male gold medalist, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, with Clarissa.
Yeah.
But it was a legacy within herself. I mean, you can actually look at Clarissa and you can look at some parallels with Andre Ward.
Yeah.
Because you have two great people for boxing, but because perhaps they're not like expressing that sentiment that you see Adrian Broner doing, they're not necessarily monetizing.
Clarissa
it.
talks her shit though.
Yeah. But I'm saying Clarissa. I always say that Clarissa, like,
But it doesn't count as shit talk because she always backs it up.
we know that she was struggling, for example, without a lot of sponsorships on her way to get her second gold medal. Yeah. Like, think about that. Here we have an athlete that went and got a gold medal, but because she doesn't fit the criteria of whatever the cover girl, or she doesn't.
You know who she is? She's Serena Williams. In
Right.
The 80s.
Raw is raw.
Yeah.
But she's still young, but she's raw.
Yeah.
Serena from Compton, like
Right,
the
right,
80s,
right, yeah.
is Flint
Right now,
right now.
Yeah.
And she came out of the hood. She made something of herself. And maybe she's not 100%
And
polished, but she's real.
unapologetic about it, and she's real, and a good example of making it in America. Like,
Yeah, she's real, and she doesn't do the whole. Well, I came in with the game plan. She is 100% Clarissa. Sometimes people don't like it, but I love that she's. Always
I love her
there.
unfiltered though. It's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
You know, even on Twitter during fight night when she's watching other girls fight,
Yeah.
it's just like it's entertaining,
last
man.
Last night I went to Franchon. Franchon's
Oh
fight.
yeah, Carson. Yeah.
how's she doing?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
She's first of all, Franchon has been like before he.
What's going on?
She was.
Before I even
That wasn't a baby.
yeah, before I even met her,
Sound like the
sounds like
process.
someone's making a man. Yeah.
The window's open.
That's all.
So Franchon, before I even met her, everyone's like, "Bro, you're like the male Franchon," and I'm like,
Right.
"No, I'm not. She could be the female Cam." Like I was,
Right,
I was,
right,
I was
right,
throwing
right,
shade
right.
back and forth,
Yeah.
probably on MySpace or something. And then, like we connected to her. I'm like, "Well, we fight similar. Like we think so." She's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite human beings in the world,
Right.
and she has had literally the hardest. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I had to struggle to get it, like to make it." She has gone through like hell and high water, and like to see her like get her WBC belt and everything she's gone through. And last night she defended her belt, won it, and I think she got the
Added another one. I think
another
there was
belt.
another
It's
belt.
also for the casual, fans out there listening to this podcast and know how much that's a process. I've seen this girl around for 8 years, 10 years. Yeah,
she's won 15 nationals or something like
Yeah,
that.
so like, how do you, when you're looking at someone who's seeing the success they're getting right now in their professional career, realize that this happened a long time before you ever seen them get awarded or get the accolades.
Last night someone saw her fight, like, well, that's an overnight sensation.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not. Like she's been at it for a while.
Yeah.
Like just like, and she's the way she carries herself.
Yeah.
She's
I liked her little
vulnerable.
post-fight interview she did. She was trying to.
Bro.
She messed up a little bit with the Spanish pronunciation, but she was trying to connect with the Mexican fans on a
Bro, you
Mexican
should have seen her
Independence Day.
media day.
It was fun.
Media day, she did like 10 different interviews, gave them 10 different talks. Like she can talk her shit. Like I cried watching her, just like seeing the person, like seeing where she was like 2008 and the person like she built herself up to today.
Right.
And like I'm so genuinely happy for her. And I just wish that like more people would care about women's boxing, or specifically my friends.
Well,
boxing.
I mean, you gotta to be real too. The women can fight now. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
You're seeing skill sets like with Katie, and the Clarissa. I mean, there's some.
Amanda Serrano.
Yeah, there's some women out there that like craft-wise, if we're just looking at boxing IQ and the way they're applying it.
And some of them are, I believe Marlena Esparza, which is another homie of mine, love her to death. She fought 3-minute rounds, I believe. So
That's
they're
right.
starting to do a few. The women are moving to 3
They're
minute
testing
rounds.
out. That was a big topic of conversation on the broadcast last night of the show. Because I didn't. You saw it in person, but I was watching on DAZN, and they were talking about women's boxing should be 3-minute rounds. There was a few good arguments for it. One argument being they can do it. They should be able to fight the same amount as men. Another one being, if you have 3-minute rounds, you're going to develop more interesting fights because the heat when the heat starts heating up and then the bell rings, that's not really good for the entertainment
You got
value.
another minute left.
Yeah, we want to see what happens in that final minute and
What
more
do you think about
knockouts
5-minute rounds for boxing?
5-minute rounds.
How many
Is
5-minute
that
rounds
is that
will
on
we do?
topic for anywhere? Like
No.
Oh, okay.
Kinda-
We
I mean-
do that. We do it at the gym sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
10-minute rounds.
And if you do 10-minute rounds at the gym. The thing is that we've all built up these weird constructs in boxing, and it's like, oh, we can't. The women got to do 2-minute rounds. The guys got to do 3-minute rounds. Or I've only sparred a 3-minute round with a minute rest or whatever. And then all these things should be up for debate. I mean, the one thing that I would think that if there was a longer round, that people would probably be more patient about their process. And perhaps in a weird way, the jump to assumption is that people would get hurt much quicker. But it's actually maybe people would actually take more time to go about their process and become
you get
much
to
more
feel someone
cerebral.
out for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
Right,
and
right.
then go hard for 1 minute, and then try to survive for another minute.
Yeah.
I don't.
So,
It,
we don't know.
Be interesting.
But it'd be interesting.
Well, like when we sparred with those 10-minute rounds, the pace was different, and we were. I was learning more. I was doing different
you learn
things.
more. Yeah.
imagine, because boxing was it? So 48 minutes is 12-round fight, right?
Right.
Why don't we just let them one round? You just go until someone stops, until someone throws in the corner, because that way you can take the judges out of it. Right? If you hit an hour, it's a draw. Okay.
It would
But
just be.
You would take the judges out of it.
There's a YouTube channel called Street Beefs,
Street
and they
Beefs.
essentially do this. It's like a backyard promotion in like North Carolina or something.
It's like cages or something.
It's like cages, but they actually do boxing rules.
Yes.
They're not
never
all the guys
watched it.
are great
I've never
boxers, but
watched
some
it.
of them box
Yeah.
decently. And I usually laugh at this kind of thing, but I respect it because they make them box, and then also one of the other things about it, it's there's it's kind of unlimited rounds. It's just when someone's done. Yeah.
Look, boxing's the most subjective thing in the world. First of all, as a judge, how can you tell me who's landing the harder blows if you're not being hit?
If you're not being hit.
I've been hit by, there's a 141 pounder in Kansas City. There's Devon. When he hits me,
from Jimmy,
it hurts. When he hits me in the body, like granted, he's 141 pounds.
Right.
But still, I'm just like, that hurts more than like someone my size. The way he hits me, and I mean, there's people who's like big muscle and they're slapping with their punches.
Yeah.
How can the judge say who's hitting harder?
I don't think that.
It's too subjective.
I mean,
it's like ice skating at that point of you know,
and
it ends up being.
I fight awkwardly,
right?
Purposefully. There's everything I do has a reason.
Right.
They're like when I'm fighting. I used to fight super heavyweights. I'm like 205 fighting guys 260. If you grab me, I just go limp.
Of course.
And I'll fall on the floor. And when the judge stands over and tells me to get up, I'll say, tell him stop holding.
Right.
And eventually, the judge the ref won't know what to do. And will eventually look over at him like, stop holding.
Right.
So my thing I do is I hump people. So you throw a hook, I could block it or I can counter. I don't. What I do is I duck under it, I twist your hips around, and I pull you in gently from behind.
Right.
The ref warns you for turning your back to the action.
Right.
I do that 3 times in a round, they should take a point away from you. I've won fights like that. But when I'm playing those mind games, as a judge, you can't see that. So I would like to fight for an hour straight.
It's most of those people don't have any experience.
Did you get that?
Either.
I remember Marcos Maidana and Adrian Broner were doing that to each other. Yeah. I remember, I think Bernard Hopkins was doing that in his fight with the Welsh guy. But did you get that from? Did you see that in pro boxing?
People been doing. Mike McCallum used to do it. A lot of people used to do it.
I used to. So one thing I used to do is if anyone fell down, no matter where I was or what I was doing, I would make my way to jump over them. I don't care how clumsy it would look, or if you got down on one knee, I'd walk over to you and step over your head. That was like my thing.
So we had recently. So I trained an amateur who did this recently in the gym. And they put a clip of him up on winning, and he's a standout because he's like has 9 junior national titles, and then like 2 international titles. His name's Ashton Silv, H2O. But anyways, drops the kid to the body, walks over him, and everybody was just going nuts. Like you can.
Well, the first time it was opposed to, it was not really that it didn't explode. Then I think Winning reposted it. Once Winning reposted it, a new set of people saw it. And then all the
I was getting hit up in my direct message like, hey, you know, this kid, what you need to teach the kids better. And I said, it's
a sport.
It's a very weird thing with boxing because sometimes I think boxing is too sensitive. Like I miss the dances, and one reason I don't watch football as much is because I miss the dancing.
Your job is to throw a ball.
Right.
You should have 8 minutes, a whole commercial break to do a choreography, dance. You can have accessories. You can celebrate.
I like when someone dunked on somebody in the NBA and they literally.
Do you know why I did the walkover thing?
Yeah.
When Iverson shot
of course,
and stepped over him.
Tyronn Lue, right? Yeah.
That's why I do it.
Absolutely.
And then it eventually evolved into the hump thing. And the reason why I did the hump thing is once you hump a man, he forgets everything he learns. When the ref's like box, he's just going at you to kill you, and then you pick him apart.
And then you can be much more cerebral because he's
but once I realized they get a point taken away, I'm like, if I can pull off 3 of these in a round,
you're winning.
3 pumps, you get it.
3 pumps and a dunk.
But boxing is crazy because you'll see people that it's like, and it's often like, but there is a weird thing that goes on. It's like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's competition. I mean, at the end of the day. I think even when fighters get to talking to each other, which I'm in full support of, if you can talk to a guy and you start breaking him down just by talking to him, just by getting in his mind, that's the advantage of the fighter. That's the best. Like he's winning.
Here's what I do. So when it's fight time and it's like finals at weigh-ins, like everyone's there, intense, everyone's tough. I always have a seat, and if I don't, I take someone's seat. Then my opponent. I take someone's seat and I make them sit down. Like I did this in the Olympic trials. I grabbed a seat and I'm like, hey, we're fighting tonight. Have a seat. I don't need to sit down. That's all I want them to say. Because they want me to give them a seat because they're fighting me. Now they have to stand up there for about an hour and a half. And eventually, I make sure that seat's empty. They can either stand up there for an hour and a half or they can break. Either way, they lost the exchange. Fight time. They have their playlist on, wireless headphones in, gloves on so they can't change their song. They're in the zone. Coach is doing mitts. They take it off. The music plays. They're walking out towards the ring. I run out in front of everyone and I stop them. Hey man, I just want to say good luck. And I go for a hug. Here's the thing. They know it's not genuine. I know it's not genuine.
Right.
But they can't not hug me in front of everyone because that's sportsmanship. So now they reluctantly hug me, and now they're upset that they have to. The coach knows what's up. The fighter's already mad.
Right.
They have to finish the rest of their ring walk.
Right.
No longer in their zone. And then my song, my ring entrance song, always the same. National anthem. Why? It ruins the mood. Everyone has to stop, stand up, and pay attention to me. The whole vibe, the hype of the whole room, all that is dead now.
Right.
It's just awkwardly silent.
So you're taking advantage of the ritual of the national anthem.
Yep. And
It's just
stand
very-
up.
yeah.
Stand up then. Stand up, shut up. And
And
look at me walk to the ring.
also in a very philosophical way, it makes you at the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Because
Purposely do it.
you're playing the national anthem. Everybody has to stop, pay attention to
And
you
then
come out.
for any critic who says that you're not taking this seriously enough and you're too goofy,
Yeah.
well, did you just stand up for
what was
national anthem
your
for him?
amateur record? I know it was something crazy.
I had 41 losses, but about 400 fights.
Okay, all right. So
Something like 350.
So if anybody's listening out there, it's a little what an accumulation of advantages that you statistically stack in order to win.
Yeah, and that should be all a part of it. You can't, like people are like, we shouldn't do the weight class thing. Well, actually, losing 30 pounds to fight, that's a part of it. That's a part of the fight. Because that's sacrifice. You can't take his credit away because he's willing to go through this.
I
safety
look at
issue,
sometimes.
there should be no safety.
Right.
Take the helmets out away in football. I want people to tackle hard or don't play. If you want me to wear more padded gloves and padded headgear and to be safe, I don't want to box. I box for the risk. The idea is the risk.
So you were happy when the
John
two
Brown
went
about
in?
this?
Oh yeah. Oh, my only 3 cuts in boxing, all over this eye.
Right.
The first one was in the first fight, first round of the Olympic trials. Cut open. John's like, that's why I don't like headgears. I'm like, but pictures look so much better.
Right.
I got sewed up and they were just like, don't get hit for the rest of the week. That was my plan showing up. Not to get hit for the whole week. And like I made it through. It did open up a couple times. Yeah. That's the downfall of it, but the fights are more exciting, and even if it's more dangerous or not, and I don't believe any of those statistics or studies say it's actually safer if you don't wear headgear.
Yeah. I don't believe
Yeah, you know what you sound like?
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
I'm gonna hold that comment in, but
Right.
yeah, I don't want this.
So conceding the fact that it is more dangerous without it, but you like that, you want that, you invite that.
That's the idea of the sport.
Right.
Yeah, that's why you probably won't tune in on Sunday to watch two-hand touch football.
Yeah.
No, I want to see someone laid out. Okay.
It's also
Back when-
it's his process too, right? Is really because you're awkward.
Yeah.
You rock the rhythm. You change the rhythm. You ambush. I've watched you fight in the Nationals a couple times. You'll ambush people. You wait for them to settle down, and then all of a sudden you're collapsing the distance and pushing them off, and then you're giving them a different look, and then you're kind of swaying them into something.
Yeah.
So here you are, and your process is to box the whole time. So you're going in there, and you're also saying, "Hey, I'm okay with this danger." And all you other people should be okay with this danger too, as long as everyone that's involved in this sport needs to be mindful because you can get hurt at any given minute, right?
Yeah.
And so you're basically saying, accept it.
Accept it. How are you going to show up to like let's say you're Mexican, or you love Mexican food. You show up to a Mexican restaurant and you're like, "Give me your spiciest food,"
Right.
with no spice.
Right. And yeah.
The idea of spicy food is the spicy part of it, right?
Right.
Or else it's just food. That's why I want and I'm not saying I want anyone to get hurt,
Right.
but I want the risk to be bigger
Yeah.
because that's the intriguing part of it.
Well, that's why people
Makes me
are
think
saying
of those commercials for Heineken new non-alcoholic. They're like telling you go to the bar and get a
Has
Heineken
anybody had a
non-alcoholic. And I'm thinking to myself, why would I do
non-alcoholic
that? I would get water. I would get water.
Non-alcoholic.
Beer tastes like shit, and I only do it for one reason.
I do it for the buzz.
I do it
I'm
to
gonna
get
get
a
water.
little loose. Right.
Non-alcoholic beer is decaf coffee.
Right.
I'm not going out of my way to make it.
Yeah.
Has anybody here ever had a non-alcoholic beer?
I don't think so.
I've been anytime you have those. I've been in a grocery store and seen people buy it. and like literally you just start jumping. You just start creating all these narratives. Like the guy's in AA. The guy must have fucking hit rock bottom. This guy, who knows?
He's gonna go with his family, watch a game, and he needs to have something in his hand.
San Pedro Street, fucking,
But also in my head, I have to like, because I'm trying to be more conscious of like, maybe not respecting people, but giving different perspectives. But in my head, I'm just like, maybe he was gonna hit rock bottom. He's like, no, I'm gonna get my shit together.
Right. Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
But also, I want to know the price of like non-alcoholic beer because at that point,
there's certain shit that when you go to the grocery store, everybody it's like an awkward sort of like if you're buying
toilet paper.
There's like going to Target.
So many times I go to the grocery store and just get toilet paper because I realize I
Oh, there's nothing like
do I get a couple other things so I don't look like a psychopath? Or
I'll get gum.
You literally just buy like the big bundle of Charmin and everybody's just looking at you and you know it's awkward. So definitely, I've never bought. No, we should have a podcast like that where we just film the interaction of buying shit that nobody wants to buy at Target.
I think like more YouTube would be the platform for
that.
The audio won't translate well. So actually, with toilet paper and stuff. So living in a van, right?
So you gotta.
There's no need for toilet paper.
Right.
Because I have a Planet Fitness membership. So for the people who don't know, I live in a van in more of a love freedom way.
Speaking tour, right?
Yeah, that's how it ended up. But bought the van, because I was doing speaking, going to schools, high schools, middle schools, speaking about digital awareness and the potential long-term effect of a digital footprint on future team school employers, bullying, physical, verbal, cyber, exclusionary, and roasting, SEL, social emotional learning, and goal setting and the resilience necessary to achieve said goals. Boom, nailed that. Elevator pitches are worth it. And when I'm going to all these schools to speak, I realized it would be cheaper if I didn't have to get a rental car, a flight, like hotel, and someone jokingly mentioned a van, and I was just like, I didn't know people lived in vans.
Just clicked.
Yeah, and
you need to go to Venice more.
I hate Cali for that. Just like van life in Cali.
Yeah.
Like the sign outside. Hey, I slept outside last night, by the way, like across like 2 blocks down. But the signs say like no.
You've been here in this neighborhood for.
Yeah, I slept there last night. That's why you can never be late to things.
Bro, I have an extra room. You could hit me up.
The thing is, I don't want to sleep in someone's room. I have a couch. Right. But like a lot of signs say like no parking from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. That's just so van life people can't sleep around here.
Yeah, I mean we do have.
Cali sucks for that because they're the only people. Like LA area and San Francisco, the only people who are up on it.
Have you seen Palo Alto? Like you go down a wide street and it's all campers because people can't afford. Maybe they've got there for a job they can't afford to live there.
People in San Francisco are renting their driveways for $1,200 a month.
It's crazy, dude.
Just so people like van people I can just $1,200 a month.
I was gonna rent you out this alley here. I don't own it, it's property, but I'll rent it to you.
It also speaks to something maybe being broken right now. Is all these people need houses.
No, but things.
Not everybody's out there being free like you.
Also, they should be. Right. Okay. This is what I figured out the last month.
For people to do that.
No, it's not. Like this is speaking if you don't have kids and you don't have pets.
Right.
And also, don't be
not
sexist,
everyone's as free spirited as the guy who changed his name to Cam F. Awesome.
They should be. Okay? Because they're not free spirits. Their souls are locked into society.
Yeah.
What I realized is I only wear free clothes. Mm-hmm. Like I pay my mortgage by the gallon. Mm-hmm. I can cover all my expenses in one 45-minute speech. Yeah. I bought a cash. I put about a few $1,000s in it to get my AC and I got generator and every sink, whatever I need in there. Also Wi-Fi, but I can cover all my monthly expenses in one 45-minute speech.
Right.
Last year I gave 206.
There you go, winning.
No. This year when I was booking everything, I booked a bunch and I was just like, why? That was the question I asked. Like, why should I work that much? I just took the last 2 months off. Just stopped giving speeches. Why? I don't have anything to spend money on. Why are people so fixated on making more money to buy things to impress people they don't like? And there's just so many thousandaires out there who's like faking the funk and wearing fake jewelry.
It's like we were talking about that Louis Vuitton
fake Louis Vuitton fanny bags.
But you're talking about, so we're talking about like consciousness that affects. society as a whole, right? So you can just, I guess you can imagine that whenever mercantilism and this whole idea of commerce and setting, that it's been now thousands of years that we've gotten here. So for the most part, humans are involved in collecting or accumulating shit that they just don't need.
When you have to go to an event, the first thing I realized, 99.99% of the stuff I own, can't bring with me.
You can't. No, but you can imagine at one time humans.
Freeing, huh?
You realize how much you don't need.
We migrated so much that we couldn't sit there in the same place and accumulate a bunch of bullshit that we didn't need.
Hunters and gatherers couldn't
and
travel
now we're in a society where it's like, hey, you're gonna get your suburban house. The only difference between you and the neighbor is maybe you have a half a bathroom that they don't.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be able, and we're going to judge you based on all the bullshit
Joneses
that you can accumulate.
Reminds me of that George Carlin bit where he's talking about every house is really just a little box of stuff with a top on it.
Yeah.
And you spend all your pride and possessions in that box of stuff. Although you're never with that box of stuff because you're outside trying to make money to buy more stuff.
It's some weird shit too. Like where humans stop being people, they start being like, oh, he's the guy with the iPhone.
They started to be Instagram pictures.
Yeah.
Walking Instagram pictures. That's what people become.
He's like an accumulation of things. It's like, oh, he's the guy that
a job title
went to this university that has an Audi, that has a house. But it's like you and your being that fucking doesn't matter at all.
His college education.
Yeah.
He paid someone to write most of his papers.
Right.
He didn't learn anything. He's paying the debt off, and he's actually has a job that has nothing to do with that degree.
Or he appropriated the shit out of somebody else's work.
And then and then they live in a house which they don't own because they're paying a mortgage.
Right.
They live in a car that they're struggling to keep up payments with, and then they're like Kim lives in a van. He showers at Planet Fitness.
Yeah. And by the way, if we're gonna write, I told him this a couple weeks
everything
ago.
with the car was right about me, bro.
If we're gonna write a book about somebody, right? I could write write about you, who's had this incredible, interesting, eclectic life. Or I can write about the guy that dotted every I, crossed every T, went to school, and became just the most boring, complicit fuck to society that we've ever seen.
I showed up at school, didn't bring a pen.
Yeah. So there's something. It's funny to have someone to go about it because I think that we have these moments. Like I was in Costa Rica and I had this moment. It's like, why do you need all this shit? Or if you're camping, you have these moments where you're like, what is it that we have ourselves involved with, right? And then that reality sort of, sets in for a second. And then, more or less you get back in the car, you get back on the plane, and you land back to wherever it is that you came from, and you just hop right back into that hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yep, jump into the rat race. Once I figured out the speaking thing, and first of all, I wish I would have figured out the speaking thing years in advance. Mm-hmm. Because being on the USA national team, like, there's people who hit me up, ask me for money. I'm just like, I make $1,000 a month on the USA national team. You get paid $1,000 a month. And you have to show up to every camp, every competition. You have to be on weight. Because if you do everything for 28 days straight and then you miss a competition or something, or you miss weight, they don't pay you for that month. Yeah. So you can't have a normal job because you know what? Waffle House is not going to give me 6 weeks off to go to 3 weeks in Paris for a training camp and then 2 weeks in Russia. Like, you can't work. So you're just stuck doing, in my case, not always legal things to be able to survive. You're doing a bunch of hustling. You're doing odd jobs. You're on like Craigslist to help people move just to survive and be able to box.
Right, this is crazy.
Now, in what I've done with speaking, in 45 minutes of speaking, one class schedule, I can give a speech and make 2 or 3 times the amount I made all month with USA Boxing. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take that much work because athletes, the reason why everyone relates to athletes so much is because especially boxers. Boxing is the most relatable sport because everybody's fighting their own internal battle of some
absolutely,
sort.
Yeah.
And with boxers, any sport you could think of that's an Olympic sport, there are millions of people aspiring to be where you are. Even if you're not good, let's say you had a bunch of fights, you went to nationals a bunch of times. You never won nationals, but you kind of placed sometimes, made in the top 10.
Yeah.
You still have a story that millions of kids can benefit from.
And we
because
do
90%, 99% of people never step in that
discount,
ring. So
we discount
this
this
learn from that person.
in boxing too. We've talked about this before. That just imagine being the top 10 amateur, let alone top 25 in the country in your weight class.
Yeah.
And or even in the world, which even gets crazier. And what a big deal that is. And in boxing, so often, you hear these things, oh, such and such isn't shit. Such and such isn't shit. You're like, man.
I was at the Apple store yesterday, or 2 days ago. This guy, swear to God, was saying, you're boxing around, okay, yeah. Man, what do you think about Canelo? I was like, dude took one loss, he's killing it.
Right.
And he's like, man, he ain't shit. I could probably knock that dude out. And I was like, what? You do understand, he's not anywhere close to being my favorite fighter. Not in the least. Just, I don't like boxers and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like his style.
He does a little bit of everything.
I
he boxes,
respect
he fights,
the hell out. Like,
yeah,
he's the best.
Right.
Also, no offense, you work at Apple.
Right.
You're not even the best at Apple.
There's something crazy.
Why do people, if you can't get the employee parking spot for employee of the month at your job, shut the fuck up when you're talking about people who are great at their craft.
If you don't have a plaque that says that you're the number one Apple fucking employee in the world, like
even in your store. Are you the greatest Apple person at the San Jose Apple store?
Some of these masculine platitudes that you hear get espoused, like as far as this shit just gets ridiculous. Especially with somebody, whatever it is that you're involved in. If you're the best bowler, if you're the best guy that, what do you call the editors that do the digital stuff? I don't know too much about it, but write code. If you're the best coder, shit like that. Like literally, like you're killing it if you're in the but people, there's this thing where we're sort of, and I often wonder, because it's talking about sort of what you're saying, because of us not wanting to make a difference in the way that we're living our lives, is that because we're under capitalism or because we're under consumerism so much in a global world, is everything that we're dealing with, do we look at it through this perspective of should it be monetized and commodified? Everything's winning and losing. Everything is,
capitalism is about winning.
Everything is about, this person isn't shit, or I'm better than that person.
It's a status deal.
The status hierarchy. And how this is affecting us, because
part of me hates it.
Right, yeah.
Also,
you're competitive.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm like that too, yeah.
But that, like, this last month, I'm having like a whole spiritual change of life and the way I look at things, because in my head, I'm just like, through the National Speaker Association, I've easily booked more gigs than anyone else in the country in last year. I drove 51,000 miles trying to do this. I only did it because I want to be better than everyone else. And then I realized when I was like, I don't need to do this. I don't know why I'm stressing myself out. I'm driving all over. I'm speaking. And I was like, I don't. But also part of me is just like, if you don't, you won't be the best.
Right. Yeah.
How many states have you been on this last stretch?
I've put it like this. July 4th, 2016, I lost in the Olympic qualifier. So I won the Olympic trials, went to Argentina. Had to qualify there.
Yeah.
Lost in the finals on a split decision. Didn't get to go to Rio. That was on July 4th. That night I was like, all right, well, not gonna do the Olympic thing anymore. I'm gonna build a business. I'm gonna build a speak. That night I told myself, I was like, in a year, you're gonna by July 4th, 2017, you're gonna do something with your life. Because you think about it, I've been a lot of places. I got a lot of pictures. I have a bunch of followers online, but I have nothing to show for it. I'm broke, don't have a business, I have nothing to fall back on without sports. And I made a promise to myself, in a year, I'm gonna make something of myself. I woke up July 4th, 2018, and Time Hop, or Facebook Memories, just like, hey, remember when you posted this July 4th 2 years ago and said you were gonna make something of your life? Well, you haven't. And then I already had the van. I just put insurance on it, but nothing inside, no bed, no AC. It's July 4th. I'm just like, I woke up, felt like I cheated myself. Like, because I made all these promises to myself in my head. I didn't I just put it online. I'm gonna reinvent myself in a year. As 2 years passed, I realized I'm a loser. So I just started packing things into the van. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't really have a plan. Didn't really have money either. And I just packed everything into the van. And because it was July and it was really hot, I was like, I guess I'll drive north. Maybe it'll be cooler up there since I don't have AC. And I ended up in Toronto. I took off July 4th, and in the next year, I spent 8 nights in my bed. So 358, 7 days I was on the road. And through that I realized, because I wanted to have a career, I don't know how I'm gonna make money. I'm not college educated. I don't know a lot of things about life. I speak with confidence. I usually don't know what I'm talking about. I need to figure something out. And it just hit me a month ago. I do have a career. I don't have any expenses. I should be happy. I was miserable up to a month ago, just worrying about work and making sure like I'm not sleeping, my body's going to shit. I'm always worried about like I need to book more gigs. I need to be promoting myself. I need to post something relevant online to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And I realize every time I open up Twitter, baby trapped in a car, person murdered, war, debt, poverty, homeless, sickness, sadness. Now I would get online, I would live online to try to build my following. I'm tweeting every day, posting on Instagram, and I was just getting sadder and sadder, just consumed with negativity and drama. And a month ago, I was just like, fuck it.
It's hard to have to navigate that shit, right? I mean,
some people can. I can't.
You can't, especially, it's like you as a fighter, when you're in the ring, there's every second you're in this moment of being. So hey, this guy's dropping his left hand, or this guy's getting too close to me, I'm going to adjust the distance, or every time this guy throws a jab, maybe bow and arrows back, or maybe when the guy throws, he makes a tight thing with his mouth.
Yeah.
But you're in a moment of being, you're reading all this shit, which just takes an incredible amount of focus. And you have that discipline because you're in the ring. That's easy for you because, the 400 fights, this is something that you developed, right? Yeah. But it's also being so mindful in life that when you're that hey, when I'm going onto Instagram or I'm going onto Twitter or I'm on my Facebook, I might encounter shit that isn't going to make me better in life. I'm going to see things that probably I shouldn't be looking at that wouldn't jive with my soul or jive with my being and what it is that I want to get done, or it's in conflict of sort of the consciousness that you're trying to project out there. Yeah. And it's difficult because it's like, how do I not get caught into watching a video with somebody twerking? Yeah. How would I not get caught into a video with somebody getting their ass kicked at a bar, or some narco-violent shit?
You know how to do it?
Yeah.
I can tell you. Don't go online.
Don't go online. Yeah.
Here's the thing. And what you need
to schedule your tweets, right?
I post, I drop, I get out. I don't look, I don't comment, I don't read comments or anything like that. I just post online because I need to stay relevant. If you look at my Instagram, it's nothing but pictures of me doing the selfie videos with kids, and I only have Instagram.
It's all your gigs speaking and then the follow-up, right?
But it's easy for you to say you've got 18,000 followers.
No.
So what would be your advice to those people?
That should make it more difficult for me to say. Because I need a platform.
Because you had to continue to engage with them.
When you think of accountants or like people who work, like the Apple employees, they don't need social media. You don't need to be online. Are you making money online? How is it? Is it distracting you from your everyday life? Is it making your life better in any way? Do you feel better about yourself because you're taking
for most people, it's a place to go and consume content and go waste time. In your experience, it's something to put out content and to actually get business, get gigs
people need to get up.
Your words.
Here's the issue. There was MySpace.
Right.
Everyone was friends with Tom. Then we're like, oh, we don't gotta be friends with him.
Fuck
you
Tom.
get him all. Then you arrange your top 8, and that was like a social status.
Right.
And then what happened was old people showed up and was like, let's get on MySpace too. And we're like, screw that. Let's go to Facebook. Right. And then we're on Facebook. Guess who shows up?
Old people.
Old people. Like, all right, goddamn it.
Show now.
We're going to Twitter. Guess who shows up?
Yeah.
Old people. All right, we're going to Instagram. Guess who shows up?
The old people are showing up.
No. You're now the old person. But
you
don't want to realize that you are the old person on social media.
Right.
And what do old people talk about? I'll tell you what young people talk about. Clothes, fashion, pop culture.
Yeah.
You know what old people talk about? Politics, drama, like depressing shit. And
young people are involved in that shit.
But Instagram's less of that because it's more visual, so there's less politics talk. You're not going to post a political
But old
picture.
people, and by old people, I mean us,
right,
have ruined social media. And every time young people get a platform to do something, there's old people. Anytime I see a 47-year-old woman on Snapchat, go away.
That's crazy.
You're not supposed to. Let young people have
what if they're on TikTok?
Let be stupid. I don't even know what TikTok is, and I purposely don't want to know. Because young people should have their place to be stupid.
Yeah.
Old people do not want to accept that they're old.
Yeah.
You should not, you should be on social media if you have a kid.
You just got to Instagram.
I just got into Instagram August 1st.
How old are your kids?
6 and 9.
Okay. Yeah. You need to be on it at least to be able to.
But I don't want. They're not on social media. I felt like there was a push. Everyone was like, you don't have social media. You don't have social media. So you've got.
What's going on in the gym? We need
you. Yeah, kind of boxing. Everybody's saying you're not gonna. And even with the podcast and and they're like, you don't have social media. No. And they're like, at the end of the day, I figured that I had enough accomplishments that if you were going to train with me or you were going to encounter me, everything was fine because it didn't matter, right? I had things that I'd accomplished, but I would see these guys, particularly in boxing, that were able to monetize social media that had never actually even been in a corner of an amateur fight, let alone I had somebody fight for the heavyweight championship of the world in the Wembley Arena. I worked with a guy that had 23 world champions for 2 years. It's a Hall of Fame trainer. Another guy that had 17 world champions. There was things that I was getting done. I've had national champions and so forth, but it was like, here's this guy that has nothing to do with boxing. He's actually never actually cornered anybody in a professional fight. It's not just one of these guys. There's a bunch of them.
Oh.
And they're making great money off of everything that's involved in boxing. And I'm just sitting there kind of,
I used to hate it.
And you can sort of struggle in boxing, like you said. You can if you're really. This is what I was making a joke to somebody about boxing the other day. So boxing is like a long-term relationship. When you see these people that are brand new to it, maybe they've been into it for 3 or 4 years. Like the novelty hasn't worn off. Boxing is like being in love with a woman, and you don't really like love her until you wake up in the morning and you look at her and you think, I hate you.
She had 3 babies.
Yeah.
She didn't really bounce back the way
you look at her like
she would.
it's not the same. Like you didn't bounce back yet.
She's always with your friends.
You're always with your friends. Perhaps she's nagging or whatever it is, or she's getting into your shit.
She keeps telling you you're fat. She makes you weigh in every morning.
Guess what you do though? You come home and you're like, oh, you made me dinner. Oh, okay, let's watch Netflix. And I love you, babe. Come over, grab my hand. Yeah. And boxing. When people have been around boxing long enough like that, that's what boxing is. But for me, getting on social media, it was definitely like, and then I was going down this rabbit hole last night of looking at the education that the teaching, the science that's on, and it was just like.
Let me just throw this out here. There's title boxing. There's I call them housewife fitness classes.
Right.
Nothing against housewives. Yeah. I wish one day I become a house husband.
Right.
My dream is to be a stay-at-home dad with no kids, maybe 4 dogs, acre of land, great Wi-Fi. I don't want anyone around.
Right.
With that said, that's not real boxing.
Right.
But there are trainers who never fought, but just they do mitts.
Right.
In Kansas City, there's a lot of thick, like in shape, like those CrossFit girls.
Mm-hmm.
They're hot, and they just hold mitts out here, and old dudes just punch them. They're just gonna mess their shoulders up. Mm-hmm. They're catching punches. They don't know anything about boxing. But they videotape themselves from behind. They have a great ass, great back muscles, and they do mitts and they get
the spectacle is appeasing.
But Cam, there's money to be made there, and I know you've done that kind of personal training with that. So luckily, while this market is there, we should.
But I used to hate it.
Yeah.
I used to hate, but now I'm just like, I respect your hustle. I respect your hustle. Now I'm okay with it, but I don't like. That people in the Apple store can say, man, I'm not Canelo out.
Oh yeah.
And you've never had a fight.
It's great because they've never tasted their own.
When I tell girls like,
oh my god,
first stuff.
So that's what every man thinks it's easy to knock somebody out. I always trip out on this. Like they'll be like, I'm gonna knock him out. I'm gonna knock him out.
You've seen too many videos.
And I look at them and I say, well, how many people have you clipped? Like, well,
it was one time, in 8th grade, one time.
Right. So it's like, okay, but you said, I would knock him out. I'm like looking at him like, hey, you probably don't even know where to hit him at to hurt a man. Yeah. And here you're saying, I'm gonna knock him out.
My favorite is when you see all these tough guys and then it's time to fight and they're just like,
yeah. They just Yeah.
And I started boxing because I was getting bullied and I was like, lose weight and get a bunch of girls and all that. And also in the back of my mind, always, I'm just like, I want to be able to defend myself. Someone's going to go down one day. Like, I'm going to get a fight. And I'm going to be able to handle myself. That was always my worry.
Right.
Never had a street fight.
You realize
how it never happens once you become a boxer. It never happens.
You realize your temperament is different, too. Because if that opportunity does present itself, you end up being so calm about it. Yeah. That they can sense like, wait a minute, this guy is okay with this conflict.
Once I learned how to fight, I didn't have to.
Yeah. Right.
And the only people who want to fight are the people who can't and want to prove that they can.
Yeah.
And if you want to prove that you can, it's because you probably think you can't.
Yeah.
And if you're confident enough, it's insecurity. And the biggest problem with the whole the toxic masculinity, I can break that down. It's insecure males.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
this is all insecurity.
Oh, if you can, in my tests, I always ask like a dude who's casual, when was the last time you cried?
Yeah. Who, me?
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
Yeah, well,
I think probably about 4 months ago.
Last time I cried, last night when Franchon won. I cried all the goddamn time. Crying is
I
like
cried
a free
during
jam. It's like a free
Lions
Xanax.
King.
Also,
Free Xanax.
It is
it's
a
like,
free
it's like a really,
Yeah.
and I don't see, and everybody's like, well, I'm tough. Like, okay, you know who I'm afraid of? The dude, like, there's an Italian dude. I think he's Italian, but he used to, he had a little street life. He did a little bit of time, but when he talks about his daughters, every time he talks about his daughters, like they did a dance or recital, he just starts crying. Like, if you do something good, he's so happy for everyone.
Yeah,
and I'm terrified of that man.
also-
Because that man has probably killed men.
Right.
Anyone that secure in themselves, I'm terrified of.
It's also that like you can be all these different things.
Yeah.
Like I think like some people with my personality, I can be very mean with the kids at the gym, and then then times with the kids at the gym, I'm just playing and laughing and I'm having the best time because talking about this idea of being an adult and being around a bunch of kids that are under 18, right? And how exciting that is because it's almost like your youth doesn't leave you. Because if you're there as a trainer, you've got this energy, that's this vibrancy.
As a coach, you need to connect with them.
Yeah, there's special moments in the gym.
And they're not jaded on life yet, right? There's so much of the adult experiences is getting older and sort of like being
So maybe you catch yourself from bringing that negativity in there.
Yeah.
Life ain't what you think it is, son. It's like, just enjoy the ride.
When people say that to fighters, I trip out like, because there's so much of that goes on in the boxing world where people have this like, you got to roll with the punch. Of course you have to roll with the punches. It's boxing. Yeah. But it's like, just be ready. Not every light is going to turn green. Of course every light is going to turn green. Yeah. But when they start getting on, like there's a certain sort of sentiment that gets expressed in the boxing gym that is like that you should be prepared for this rough life. It's like, hey, no, let's have a lot of fun. Let's do whatever we can. Let's fucking make sure that we win. And let's be playful and put all our energy into this shit. But let's have a good time while we're doing it.
I don't care about anything else but having a good
time. Because otherwise, when that loss does come, you're going to fall off the cliff and you're going to
not just
fall into depression. You're going to fall.
As fighters, the sacrifice, right?
Yeah. Nothing really matters.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you believe, like whatever God you believe in, whatever, none of it matters.
Yeah.
It might matter to you personally.
People
you might
have a hard time.
Value.
It's easy for you to say that because you have a free spirit, but you've got so many people that have built up all these narratives, right?
But that's no fault on me.
Yeah.
I can point out reality. They can't. Like whatever you believe in is fine, and I'm not gonna say I respect it, but I'll acknowledge it. Yeah. But it doesn't matter.
You ever trip out that we're landlocked into this life lottery where we were born into? So like if I was born in Darfur, or if I was born in Yemen, or if I was born in Paris or wherever, that my life would be much more different. Yeah. And it's just a reflection of whatever it is that I was born proxy to, my environment. And so you meet people and they're just tied to all this bullshit.
You know why? Because they put so much value on it that when they find out that maybe if something they believe there's a flaw in it or it's not true, they put so much of their identity in it that they're just like, you know what? Don't care. I'm just gonna ride this one out for the rest of my life because I don't know who I am without it.
Yeah, it's scary.
You've recreated your
you changed your name,
and that kind of leads into something that I had been wanting to ask you about the moment you became the person that doesn't need to get in a fight, the person that can cry and realize that that's not a sign of not being masculine, not a sign of weakness. How did that transition to that development of that growth over time? When did that happen, and when do you think that you realized these things, and did it have anything to do with your recreation under Cam F. Awesome or?
It like when I first started boxing, it was just to like lose the weight and like.
How old were you then?
Senior year in high school. I was in New York. Senior year in high school, 16, 17 that summer. Joined a boxing gym, wanted to lose the weight.
You were fat and you was the only free gym, right?
You're from New York?
Yeah, Long Island.
Well, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then.
Were you at Teddy's gym?
No, I was in Hempstead at Kennedy Park. But when I lost the weight and I started boxing and I had like first few fights and I was like walking around like I'm tough, like in my head, everywhere. Except for when I go to school, I would just like get real. Because I was afraid that
Teacher's gonna call me and I'm not gonna be able to answer
No, I was
questions.
afraid, like, because I was always the quiet, awkward, sweaty kid, and now, like, lost some weight, like, wearing a tighter V-neck.
Right.
Well, it's probably very still baggy, FUBU back then.
Some Timberlands.
Yeah,
Peanut butter Tims.
some butters.
Yeah.
But then I would get to school, I'd be super confident, but when I got to school, I would, like, don't want anyone to think, oh, Cam changed. But then when I moved to Florida, I was just like, I'm gonna embody the confidence because no one knows who I used to be. So I was loud everywhere I went. I was obnoxious and I was overcompensated for my insecurities. And then for the next
old
4
were you then
years,
in that?
18.
Okay.
A lot of people do that shit when they go
Yeah.
to school. They redefine
Happening in
themselves.
college all the time. You know, your freshman year, you come out, you try to recreate yourself, and you.
But
become
I didn't do it well.
This douchebag version of yourself because.
I was a douchebag. I was a dick
Right.
for 4 years. I mean, I was cutting lines. I was obnoxious. I did what I want. I said what I want. It was very freeing because I didn't have to think about anything. But then when 2012 happened, won the Olympic trials on going to the London Olympics, missed 3 drug tests. So the whereabout failures, you have to let them know where you are at all times.
Yeah, I heard this is a pain in the ass too.
So like the fact that I'm here, I have to email, let them know the address of the house I'm going to be in here. If I go to a football game and I don't have won't have cell phone service, I have to let them know what seat I'm going to be in. Because if I go to, let's say, a Chargers game and I don't have cell phone service and they show up to my house randomly to drug test me, and I don't pick up my phone, or if I pick up my phone and more than an hour away from my home, that's a missed test.
So on these three missed tests,
2 of them I was out of the country. It was the same
and
trip.
you were on tour with USA Boxing.
And
right?
also they don't test you
Which is ridiculous.
for anything that I know of. They don't test you for weed, coke, heroin, meth, crack.
Yeah.
Like there's something in the
So
Green
you have-
Monster energy drink
Yeah.
that you'll test positive.
Taurine, right?
Yeah, but other than I don't know if that's it. It's just like a big word I can't pronounce.
Yeah.
But they don't test. I don't even know what they test you for. Thing is, and everyone's like, "Oh, smoking weed? Don't even smoke weed." So when I got suspended from that,
Michael Hunter too around that time.
Michael Hunter, he got
he
he
gets
was
popped.
in competition. He got popped
for weed,
for
right.
weed. And he only, but it wasn't a real offense, so he only
It's
got
so
like
funny
30 days.
weed's popped because it's like he smoked weed. And if anybody deserves to probably smoke a joint, it's boxers that are putting their bodies through a whole bunch of shit.
I won't even
But that
start on
doesn't-
the train of the ridiculousness of USADA, and actually not even USADA because they put their rules in place. I put it on USA Boxing for not like keeping up with the ad. And granted, actually no, take that back. That's my fault because I was 18. I was an adult.
Yeah.
I signed a paper to say I'll let them know where I'm going to be at all times.
Yeah.
So 3 misses, 2 of them you were traveling with USA Boxing.
Yeah.
So they should have known where you were because you were doing.
Yeah.
You're on the job.
But I didn't. It was my job to send the email, let them know I'm leaving the country. They could have. They knew where I was, and although you get tested in those tournaments internationally,
Didn't count. Wasn't that you saw
didn't
it?
count. And it took me a long time to admit that's my fault. I'm supposed to do that.
And then the third time, where were you the third time?
It was the last 2 times I was out of the country. Same
Okay.
trip. I was gone for like 9 weeks.
It seems like predatory almost that they would get
It
you.
is. It's
in
ridiculous.
That was political.
Since when
Somebody was trying to get their kid in.
100%. I know
Cam
exactly.
was popped last week. We'll pop him again this week.
I know
It's in
exactly
the same
why
country.
it was. I know exactly why I was suspended. But of course, it'll seem like a conspiracy theory or whatever. But I know a lot of things on the inside. And you know what?
There's a lot of shit that goes on at levels of everything, right?
Yeah.
Sure, there's politics in the corporate room at McDonald's, politics
Oh,
at
yeah.
now, politics at Nike, so forth. Anybody that doesn't think when you're talking about something that you would hope that has more ethos to it, which is boxing, no, it's not true. There's a bunch of politics about who gets a nod and who gets the love.
When people are like, oh man, I'm getting out of amateur boxing. It's too much politics.
Yeah.
Do you think there's less politics when money's involved?
Oh hell no,
Yeah.
it's more, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but it's you see that just plague everything.
Yeah.
But it's
The
one
only
of those
benefit is you get to pick your opponents, so
It's-
you don't have to
it's-
fight under the same.
it's
It used to
also-
be like that. Now they're making like people are getting world title shots at 8 fights. They're making people fight now.
Yeah.
If you take a look recently, anyone turned pro in the last 2 years, they're making people fight because the zone's on and people are paying for these.
No,
these fights.
they're fast tracking them to title fights much quicker now.
as they should.
And remember,
Do you think
like,
that started with Lomachenko probably?
probably, but it's also, I mean,
I think
Fighting
it's-
for his title in the second fight?
I think it has to do with there are more fights on that's being televised. There's more apps, and now that HBO's out into zones,
there's more belts too.
Yes,
there's
man.
more belts,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you need high level fights if you want people to pay
There's
for them.
belt.
And just
Devin,
like,
Devin Haney got a belt last night.
Yeah.
And it was a
Probably,
WBC
yeah.
belt, but it's not the WBC belt.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a mess, man.
And
WBC
Devin
people
Haney
giving
is
out free belts. to everybody. It's
Incredibly,
ridiculous.
incredibly great fighter. He's going to be, he's going to be exciting. But the one criticism I
And
would
Darren
have
Cunningham
is
is his buddy as well.
is
I love Darren.
is Devin is going to get the real green belt.
Yeah.
And no matter what.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a year or two, but whatever it is that he got last night, for people that know boxing, I was like, man, I'm surprised to see Devin, have.
I saw
They're
dude
charging
who
that
won-
3%.
Rolly did that too. Rolly had walked out in Carson with some belts above his head.
I met someone who
so-
won like the under 25
Right.
Intercontinental,
Central
Northern Central American
Southeast
belt that you fight for every
And he
third
wasn't.
Friday
And he
of the
wasn't.
month.
And he wasn't from North and Central America. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just happened to go to that
But
show.
before we get lost on this, so dealt with the year off. Like, so I was suspended for a year.
Yeah.
In that year, I was only making $1,000 a month with USA Boxing. I had no money, no college degree, no job, nothing to do. Trained people for a while. That was very difficult to do as a fat personal trainer. Gained a lot of weight, drank a lot, did a bunch of stuff that we're not gonna talk about. But
Right.
after that, that's when lost the bet. Had to be vegan for 28 days. So everything that entailed, but also sobriety. So I had to be sober for the first time in the suspension because I was drinking a lot and whatever. Wasn't really partying. It was a one-man party, but lost the weight and was
You're checking out because you need to, because you.
Yeah.
This is another thing too, is when you face obstacles in life, especially when the people are just saying, "Hey, it's so binary," especially with people that are competitive. It's either winning or losing.
Yeah.
And so
the hardest part about losing is how long it takes to win to prove to everybody you're not a loser.
right, and that mentality that you have, that's only shared amongst other competitors.
Yeah.
I always can tell I make a joke about people that do good in boxing. If we're all throwing quarters against the wall right now, which really means nothing.
Well, I'm actually,
But
I'm really good at it.
But if we're exactly, that's what you would say, right? So, but if we're all throwing quarters,
I gotta stop.
We're all gonna fucking try to beat each other over the dumbest bullshit.
I'm not allowed to play game night
Yeah.
with friends anymore. I used to have game night at my house.
Right.
I don't play.
Yeah, you should.
Because
you're wired differently.
I don't play to win. I play to remind you that you're a loser. and
Right.
you're not winning. The entire game of Monopoly is not me winning. It's me reminding you that you'll never beat me because you're not good.
Right. Yeah. No, I had an awkward Pictionary game a long time ago, where they start divvying up teams and so forth. And this little girl was like, "Oh, she's on your team," and I said,
No.
I don't want the crutch on my team." And literally everybody looked, and it was just like a pin could drop, and we're just like, what is wrong with this guy? He's calling an 8-year-old a crutch.
Also on the competitive side note, so it's talking about the speaking thing that I was doing to just to be free. And the reason why I wish I would have done it before is because making $1,000 a month at USA Boxing sucked. But if I could, because you don't get a lot of time off. But if I can take one day off, do 3 assemblies in a day, and make as much money as I make in 6 months with USA Boxing.
Wow.
So what I decided to do was I wanted to pass the knowledge along to someone, to other athletes. So I created a course, called it Mission AU 79. It's just.
Where do we find it at?
I haven't released it yet.
Okay.
But I'm in the process of talking with Ace, the athlete career education. Yeah. So created a course to teach athletes, not just boxers, but any sport, how to build a speaking business. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't promise that you're going to make. There's no guarantees. Also,
right.
I can't guarantee.
Yeah, you got to be
show up
interesting.
on time. And, actually do the things.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee. You can buy the course, you'll get a bunch of information. I wanted to give it for free. If I gave it for free, no one would value it.
Of course.
Right. No one's gonna download it.
I thought it was give it $50.
You gotta price it. You gotta price it at a certain point where people realize, okay, I'm gonna get some.
It has
money.
value, right?
Yeah. So my deal is if you do the course and you actually do everything I tell you to, you'll be able to, at minimum, take 1 day off a week, 1 day off a month from training, speak at 3 schools. You can make $1,500 in that 1 day. Mm-hmm. That's a month and a half at USA Boxing.
You teach them the parts of the business about cold outreach and finding.
I did it. It's 12 chapters. Mm-hmm. I named each chapter a round. So round 1's intro. Round 2 is creating content, looking the part, online presence, closing the deal. Teach you how to make templates.
That's awesome.
Yeah, every aspect of it, and I want to give it to athletes. So because
There's a lot of athletes that let's say you're a sprinter and you're trying to go to the Olympics. They're putting a lot of time into a sport that doesn't have a payout.
It's not just that, there's a shelf life on athletes.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, right?
Yeah,
So,
and also when you're stressed out about like you're supposed to be focused on like I'm focused on a fight, but also I know after I win I can't tell anyone. Why? Because my phone's cut and I can only receive calls and not text messages. I can't even make calls. Like that's what I had to deal with. And if I could have like a source of income, so that's why I'm like making this for athletes, and hopefully it can catch on.
which in a very divergent way
great.
is now you have more money, and now you can be connected to the people that you love.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be easier for you to succeed at what it is your passion.
Or-
So whether that be fighting or work or sprinting and stuff.
And after the sport, because if you're doing wrestling and you don't want to do UFC after college, you have nothing to do with your talent.
nothing to do with your talent.
Besides like coach wrestling, but you can make a speaking career out of it. And I don't care about competition because there's 172,000 public schools in America and 36,000 private schools in America. There's enough schools for everyone to speak.
And they're all like,
And wherever you are, there's also schools.
Right.
And I teach you how to create a speech, how to practice speech, how to get free footage of your speech, and all the ins and outs and the shortcuts you can take. Because there's so many people online, it's like, learn how to build your business.
And never mind that too.
6-figure speaking business in a month. And I'm like, if you Google these people, none of them have ever had high-paying gigs, a packed schedule, and it's just a bunch of people who are faking the funk. 99% of money made in speaking is made by unsuccessful speakers teaching new speakers how to become successful speakers.
Right.
And that's a trap that I almost ran into a few times when I got into speaking. So like, I just want athletes to only take
Not to mention
my
too,
course.
like the effect that you get to have over young minds, right? You've got a great story. You've got all these things that you've been, that you've faced. You've got this history. You're interesting. You're dynamic. You're charismatic, and now
My hair is amazing.
Then you get to go talk to these young kids, right? And just to think for that brief second, for that
You
speech,
talk to that little Cam that's uncomfortable, overweight,
for
worried about
I
giving
love
back to
seeing
that.
like as I can spot out me
Right.
when I see like a fat awkward kid. I'm just like, I love that kid. That's
Right.
me. Like,
So it's
doesn't know the right
it's
thing
like
to
a
say.
twofer. Here you are, you're able to provide for yourself, put yourself in a good position, especially if you're an athlete or retired as an amateur, your amateur career. And it's like, well, never mind that. I also get to have a really good impact on kids, which is awesome, right? Which is Cam F awesome.
So Cam, I want to ask you. I know you have an appointment to get to in downtown LA. I want to leave enough time to get there.
Flies.
Is there anything else that you'd like to leave to our audience? Any message you'd ask of them, or anything you'd want them to look up, or how can they find you? How can they reach out?
Craigslist misconnections. I usually check that every morning.
Everybody reads it. It's like the best reading ever.
I read Craigslist misconnections in Kansas City every day. If you check my most visited website since 2008, literally, that's how I started this morning like that. I haven't been to Kansas City in months. No one's ever looked for me. I never posted.
You were in Starbucks. You were wearing a plaid shirt. I had a dress on.
You smiled. I smiled back.
It's just like have you ever gone down this rabbit hole?
No.
Disconnect. Oh, this is like
it's my most visited
This is the
website.
best shit on humanity. Like it's like the bathroom stall graffiti, like on crack.
It's great.
You gotta get in there.
All right. So you can find me on social media at CAMFAWESOME at CamFAwesome, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all the apps and stuff. My website is camfawesome.com or celebritysportspeaker.com. They both redirect to the same site. Also, if you are looking for someone to come to your school or business to speak to students about the things I spoke about before, or teach a professional development day or work-life balance for corporations or sales teams, reach out to me to book me. I have a lot of kids to feed.
Cam, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
I don't have any kids.
I really appreciate you coming on the show, and it was great to finally get this episode. We'll have you back next time you're touring around and coming through California again.
I feel like this coffee has me tweaking.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I hope I get more views than John Brown's one.
You will. If you share, because you got the audience, so we need you to share. That's on you, man.
I'm such a better person than John.
Let's make it happen.